No one had ever escaped the death labyrinth. The giant screen in the alien arena flashed red. The crowd of thousands roared. Creatures from every corner of the galaxy gathered to watch the latest challenge. Some had scales, others had fur, and some looked like floating jellyfish with eyes on stalks. But all of them had one thing in common. They came to see death. The announcer's voice echoed through the stadium. Today's participant is a human. Weak, soft, slow. Let's see how long this one lasts. Cheers and laughter followed. Behind a thick steel gate stood Lieutenant Jack Granger. His hands were cuffed. His uniform was torn. Dirt and blood stained his face, but his eyes were sharp and calm. Unlike the previous prisoners, he wasn't crying or begging. He was thinking. Two alien guards stood beside him, tall and armored. One of them hissed in his face. "You'll die before you reach." The first corner, Jack didn't reply. Instead, he reached down slowly and scratched his ankle. A guard slapped his hand away, but he had already done what he needed. Checked that the tiny object hidden in his boot was still there. Good, he thought. Still safe. A loud buzzer rang. The guard stepped back. The steel gate groaned and began to rise. The announcer shouted, "Let the trial begin." Jack stepped forward into darkness. The death labyrinth was not just a maze, it was alive. The floor beneath him shifted as he walked. The walls breathed, releasing gas and mist from cracks. Strange clicking sounds echoed around him. It was hot, then cold, then hot again. The lighting above flickered, sometimes red, sometimes blue, sometimes gone altogether. Jack moved carefully. Studying everything, he remembered the rules. No weapons, no map, no communication. One exit. Only one survivor. Those rules had been repeated over and over during his capture. They wanted him to be afraid. They wanted him to feel small. But Jack had grown up on Earth, a place where danger was normal and thinking fast kept you alive. After 10 minutes, he found the first corpse. It was a tall alien with 4 arms and green skin. A jagged spear was stuck in its chest, and the floor near it was stained black. Jack knelt and observed. Pressure. Plate trap, he whispered to himself. Crude, but effective. He picked up a piece of broken armor and tossed it forward. Clicked, a spear shot out from the wall, exactly where his head would have been. Jack smirked. Still predictable. He moved deeper into the labyrinth, marking the path behind him, using his fingernails on the slimy walls. After several turns, he entered a wide chamber. The floor here was clean to clean. That's when he noticed the small black dots in the corners. Cameras. They're watching, muttered. Jack stood still and looked up, enjoying the show. He slowly walked forward, pretending to limp. He coughed and staggered. Then, just before stepping onto the center tile, he stopped. He took off one of his boots, turned it upside down, shook it. A tiny metal ball rolled out. The object was no bigger than a gray pan old Earth military. Trick. Inside it was a magnet and a microchip that could send out a short-range signal. Primitive by alien standards, but just enough to mess with sensors. Jack rolled it across the floor. As soon as it hit the center, a spike shot up, and then boom. Floor exploded. Jack laughed. Cheap design. Elsewhere in the control room above the maze, several alien engineers looked nervous. Why did he stop before the tile? He shouldn't have known. Primitive human tech. It disrupted the motion sensor. The announcer's smile faded a little. Back inside, Jack kept moving. His heartbeat was steady. His plan was simple. Don't play the game their way. He reached a junction with 2 paths. One was dark, filled with fog. The other had flickering light and the faint sound of a girl crying. He froze. Help, please. The voice echoed from the lit path. Jack narrowed his eyes. Too early for survivors. Still, he had to be sure. He moved toward the sound, but not without a test. He grabbed a chunk of bone and tossed it into the hallway. Screech. The sound of metal teeth grinding filled the air. The hallway slammed shut with a steel wall. A trap, Jack said coldly. Good try. After 2 hours, Jack found a hidden Chamber smaller, darker, and oddly silent. On the floor was a map, but not just any map, a hand-drawn sketch. In Earth-style pen ink. Jack picked it up, frowning. This was made by a human. Underneath the map were 2 words, scratched in with a shaking hand. Trick them. Jack's eyes lit up. Someone else had been here. Someone who had almost made it. He clenched his fists. Then I'll finish what they started. He stepped forward, deeper into the shadows while above him. The entire arena leaned in closer, wondering how this human was still alive. But Jack had only just begun. The blood wasn't fresh, but it was still wet. Jack knelt by the red smear on the wall. Something had been dragged, something big. Claw marks scratched the metal floor, deep and uneven, as if whatever made them had been fighting while dying. Above him, the lights buzzed and flickered. The labyrinth was waking up. Behind him, the wall silently shifted, deracing the path he came from. No going back. He stood up slowly, breathing through his nose. The air was thick with rot. But more than the smell, it was the silence that bothered. Him, no growls, no movement. It's not even a whisper. Just the quiet feeling that he was being watched. This part of the maze looked older, like it hadn't been cleaned in years. Rust coated the walls. Pipes leaked black sludge. He moved forward carefully, stepping over bones and twisted pieces of armor. He stopped when he saw something strange. A message, written on the wall. But not an alien script. It was in English. If you're human, run. It's not just traps anymore. Jack stared at it, heart thudding. Someone like me was here, he whispered. Not long ago. The handwriting was shaky, almost like it had been written while bleeding. Right next to the message, bloody handprint had smeared downward. If the person had collapsed just after writing it, Jack's eyes narrowed. What else are they hiding in here? Suddenly, the ground trembled. Jack pressed his back against the wall and froze. From the next hallway came a sound of slow dragging noise, like chains on metal. Then breathing, heavy, wet, a shape appeared in the corridor. Huge, hunched, snarling. It was not like the other alien contestants. It had no eyes, its mouth stretched too wide, its back pulsed with something crawling just beneath the skin, and worst of all, it wore a piece of a human uniform. A torn patch that said Henderson. Jack didn't breathe. He'd heard rumors back on the prison ship. They called them reused. Losers of the Labyrinth who weren't dead enough for burial. So the aliens reprogrammed them, rebuilt them, turned them into hunting beasts. Jack whispered, "They're using human bodies." The creature sniffed the air, growled, then turned toward Jack's direction. No choice. Jack grabbed a broken pipe from the floor and hurled it into the opposite hallway. Clang. The beast roared and charged after the noise, its long claws scraping sparks from the floor. Jack didn't wait. He turned and ran into a side tunnel, ducking under low wires and pipes. He turned corners fast, not caring where he was going, just away. After 10 minutes, he stopped to catch his breath inside a service room. It was small, full of rusted tools and alien maintenance drones shut down long ago. Jack sat, sweating. His heart still pounded. His hands were shaking, but his mind was still calm. "This isn't just a test anymore," he whispered. "They're playing with something else." He pulled off the stolen map from Part 1. He studied it again, under the dim light. Some of the areas matched, but this place, the place with the message and the beast, was not marked. It was like a part of the maze that wasn't supposed to exist. A hidden level. "Someone built this part later," Jack said. "It's not part of the official game." That's when he heard the static. A broken intercom nearby crackled. It wasn't supposed to work. Then came a voice. Soft, female, not alien. "Is someone there? Please, you have to help me." Jack blinked. "Who is this?" The voice was weak, shaky. "I've been trapped for days. I'm not one of them. Please, don't leave me here." Stood up fast and moved to the speaker. "Where are you? I don't know. It's dark. There's a light above me and water on the floor. I think I saw a human symbol in Earth flag." Jack froze. His blood turned cold. That was impossible. No part of this arena was supposed to have an Earth flag unless there was a hidden room used for testing before the arena became public. "Keep talking," Jack said, scanning the walls. But before she could say more, a loud bang hit the door behind him. The beast was back. Jack grabbed a sharp piece of broken metal and turned to face the door. It buckled once. Then again, he whispered to himself, "One wrong move, and I'm meat." The third hit never came. Instead, the corridor lights behind the beast turned red. A low warning siren sounded. The door behind the creature slammed shut. It stopped, confused, growling. Then, gas poured in. The beast screamed, clawed at its own face, then dropped. Jack stared in shock. He hadn't done that. Someone had saved him from somewhere inside the wall. The voice whispered again, "You're not like the others. That's why I helped you." Jack's jaw tightened. He stepped forward toward the next part of the maze, more questions in his mind than answers. But now he knew the truth. This wasn't just a game. This was a cover-up, and he was right in the middle of it. The wall blinked. Just for a second, like it breathed. Jack didn't blink, but he stepped back. There it was again, a small square in the upper corner. Not a crack, not a camera. An eye, watching then. "Gone," he whispered. "You saw me, didn't you?" No reply came. Only silence. The kind that made your skin crawl. He had seen many things since entering the death labyrinth: bones, beasts, alien traps. But now he felt something worse. He wasn't just being watched. He was being studied. Jack moved fast now. The floors in this part were smoother, shinier, to clean. He was in a different section of the maze, now something newer. He noticed the air smelled fresher here. The walls no longer dripped slime. Lights above were steady. To steady, this wasn't for the audience. This was private. Jack passed a mirror, then stopped. He looked back at it. It's just a plain mirror in the middle of the wall. No cracks. But when he looked into it, he saw himself standing still. Wasn't standing still. His body had already walked 3 steps ahead. He slowly turned around. Eyes wide, the reflection was delayed by seconds. A chill ran through him. This isn't a mirror. It's a scanner, and someone was watching him through. It's somewhere far above the maze, beyond the public view of the arena. In a dark and quiet room, they watched, not the crowd. Not the announcers, but the ones behind them. The true masters of the game. Tall figures in hooded robes, unmoving, silent. Their glowing eyes watched screens filled with data. Not just video, but heart rate, blood, oxygen, thoughts, movement, prediction, subject. 117. Adapting faster than expected, one of them said in a calm female voice. Another nodded slowly. Emotion control. Near perfect. Primitive species. Yet creative. He has spotted the watcher node. Shall we remove him? No. Let him proceed. They leaned forward as Jack turned the corner. Back in the maze, Jack entered a wide hallway filled with light sand-painted faces. Masks. Hundreds of alien masks. Hanging from wires, some were grinning, some were screaming, some were split down. The middle he moved through slowly, watching each one. Suddenly one of the masks whispered, "Turn back." Jack spun. "What?" Another whispered, "Don't trust her." A third, "He's listening. Always listening." The lights flickered again. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out the signal scrambler, a tiny chip he had hidden. Inside a bent coin, he clicked it on. Static buzzed. The whispers stopped. He smirked. Thought so. Then, something even stranger happened. A new path opened. Not ahead, not to the side. Below, the floor cracked in a perfect square, revealing a smooth, spiraling staircase made of dark glass. No alarms. No announcer. No audience cheering. Only a soft, female voice inside the wall that said, "You weren't supposed to find this." Jack stood still for a moment. His instinct screamed trap. But curiosity screamed louder. He stepped down. The stairs led to a room unlike anything he'd seen before. No slime. No rust. No monsters. It looked Earth-made. There were desks, broken screens, old coffee cups. On the wall, a large human military banner. Project Obsidian. Jack froze. This is from Earth's Black Labs. He'd heard rumors during his early military training. Secret projects from before Earth joined the Galactic Council. Projects involving cognitive cloning, alien mimicry, and Labyrinth testing protocols. Jack's hands trembled. Suddenly, the screen at the front of the room lit up. A message appeared. 117H. Welcome back. Back, Jack whispered. What do you mean, back? Before? He could think more. A hologram activated. A man appeared. Same uniform as Jack. Same rank. That same face. But older. The hologram spoke. If you're seeing this, it means you've reached the subcore. That also means the experiment is almost complete. Jack stared in shock. That's me. The message continued. You're not the first. You're the 117th copy of Jack Granger. The only one who made it this far. You were never a prisoner. You were the test. Jack stepped back. No, that's not possible. But everything around him, the layout, the familiarity, the map, the hidden path of it made sense now. He had been designed for this. Then the room darkened. The ceiling above cracked. Something heavy was coming. A new voice echoed. The real test begins now, 117. Jack turned to the exit, but it wasn't there anymore. Only the blinking red light. Above the mirror in the wall watching him, he wasn't in the labyrinth to escape. He was in it to prove something, and someone, or something, was recording his every move. She wasn't supposed to be real. Jack had seen illusions before, false doors. Fake monsters, echoing voices meant to drive him mad. But this girl wasn't like the rest. She blinked when he blinked. Her breath fogged up the glass like his did. She wasn't screaming or whispering. She was just watching him, standing still inside a mirror. A girl with pale silver skin. Her long white hair floated softly like it was underwater. Her violet eyes were wide, glowing slightly in the dim light. She wore a torn gray dress. Both her bare feet were wet. She didn't speak. She just raised her hand and touched the glass. Jack stepped forward. Slowly, he was inside another section, now what the faded map from earlier had called Zone 7. Mental reflection chamber. He didn't know what that meant before. Now he was starting to. The hallway was lined with mirrors on both sides. But none of them showed him only her. He touched the mirror too. His fingers met the cold surface. But it didn't feel like glass. It pulsed slightly like skin. The girl suddenly mouthed a word. Help. But no sound came. Then her mirror vanished, melting into the wall like it was never there. He ran down the corridor. Wait. More mirrors. More reflections. Some showed her, others showed twisted versions of him laughing, burning, crying. One showed him dead. But then again her. Now she looked afraid. Something dark was behind her in the reflection. A shadow. A figure with long claws and empty sockets for eyes. The girl tried to run, but the shadow grabbed her from behind. Vanished with a silent scream. The mirror shattered. Jack stopped in his tracks. Blood dripped from the cracked glass. He whispered, "This isn't just a trick anymore." Above the chamber, the hidden watcher spoke in quiet tones. She made contact. The reflection entity has linked. He believes she's real. Shall we sever the illusion? The third voice responded, low and slow. No, let it continue. Let him bond. The deeper the connection, the stronger the data. Jack entered a circular room. Dozens of mirrors surrounded him. But this time, the girl wasn't inside any of them. Only him. Each mirror showed a different Jack, one. Smiling, one. Crying, one. Aged, one as a boy, one. Holding the hand of the silver-skinned girl. He clenched his jaw. This is a mind maze, he said. But why her? Who is she? He took out the small metal ball again, the Earth-made scrambler. He clicked. It on all the mirrors froze. Their flickering slowed. Then, just one began to glow softly. A new mirror opened. Inside it, a real hallway. At the end her. This time, she wasn't in glass. She was real. Jack stepped through the glowing mirror, like walking through fog. On the other side, the air was different. Still, cold, almost too quiet. The girl stood just ahead looking at him. Her voice was soft but real now. "You came," Jack blinked. "You're real," she nodded. "I think so. Are you?" He chuckled nervously. Not sure anymore. She stepped closer, her eyes full of sadness. "They use us here, just to test fear, pain, hope. They put me in the mirrors long ago. I forgot my name." Jack studied her. She had bruises on her arms, and her bare feet had cuts. "Why show yourself to me?" "Because you're the first to stop and see me," she said. "The others just ran past." Suddenly the ground shook. A siren blared. Red lights flickered. Overhead, the girl's eyes went wide. "They know what?" "They know I broke the rule. I spoke to you. Now they'll send ... it." Jack grabbed her hand. "Then we run." They ran together down the hallway, mirrors shattering on both sides as they passed. From behind, a sound followed them, glass crawling over metal. Whatever it was, wasn't running. It was slithering. The girl screamed as a shard flew past her head. Jack turned and threw a piece of pipe, smashing another mirror and slowing the thing for seconds. They reached a hatch. Jack pushed her through and slammed it shut behind them. For a moment, silence. Inside, the chamber was a safe-looking maintenance room. Dusty, sealed. Jack collapsed to the ground. The girl hugged her knees, shivering. "Thank you," she whispered. Jack finally asked, "What's your name?" She looked up slowly, like trying to remember something long lost, I think. "They used to call me Subject Echo." He frowned. "That's not a name." She smiled sadly. "Then maybe you can give me one." Jack stared at her for a moment and nodded. "All right. How about Mira?" Her eyes lit up. "Mira," she repeated. "I like that." They didn't know how long they sat there, breathing silent, but somewhere above them, the watchers leaned. In again, Subject 117H has bonded with Reflection Variant 9. Prediction patterns broken. The outcome is now uncertain. The walls didn't shake this time. They rattled like something was clawing its way through the bones of the labyrinth. Mira grabbed Jack's arm tightly. "They've opened the cages." Jack looked up at the ceiling as dust trickled down from the vents. "That's not a normal system alarm." Mira shook her head. "No, that sound is for them." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Them." She whispered one word. "Hunters." Across the maze, in the sealed black vaults beneath the arena, 3 steel pods hissed open. Inside were not prisoners, not monsters, not contestants. They were engineered killers. Alien predators born and raised inside the labyrinth itself, fed on failures, sharpened by centuries of instinct and torture. Each had been modified with weapons fused to bone, eyes that could see heat and thought, and worse, they remembered faces. Jack's was now marked as prey. Back in the hiding room, Jack finished checking his gear, his scrambler, broken pipe, and one final trick, a small tube of Earth's adhesive. Explosive hidden in his jacket cuff, he turned to Mira. "Do they track by heat?" "They track by fear." Jack blinked. "Oh, great." Mira pressed her palm to the cold wall. "They hunt in patterns. One distracts, one corners. The third waits for the kill." Jack smirked. "Then we break the pattern." Above them, the elite watchers spoke again. "Release of trial phase Omega, confirmed. 117H and Variant 9 have entered the final phase. Emotional anchor established, success rate prediction, unknown." The lights in the room snapped out completely. Black. A new noise crept into the space. Slow, wet, clicking. Mira whispered, "It's here." Jack didn't wait. He shoved open a floor panel and pulled her in. They dropped into a dark, narrow service tunnel just as the ceiling above was torn open. A long arm, covered in teeth, slashed through the air. missing them by inches. The two crawled fast through the duct, the sound of metal groaning behind them. Every few seconds, Mira would flinch. She could sense it better than he could. Jack's brain was running faster than ever. No weapons. No help. No map. But Earth had taught him one important thing. Everything bleeds. They reached a vertical shaft with a narrow ladder. Jack helped Mira up. Just as he climbed behind her, the duct behind them exploded open. The first hunter slithered into view. It was long and thin, like a skeletal wolf with arms. Its jaw opened sideways. Its tongue clicked like a ticking clock. It didn't growl. It smiled. Jack shouted, "Move." They scrambled up. Jack turned and pulled out his explosive gum, slammed it into a pipe, and hit the primer. Just as the hunter lunged upward, boom, the tunnel shook. Smoke filled the shaft. Metal screamed. Jack and Mira burst into a chamber above one filled with old surveillance gear and blinking terminals. Mira coughed. "I'll send the next one." Jack looked around. Then we set the trap first. He found a broken cable and an energy cell half drained in the wall. Mira looked confused. "What are you doing?" Jack smiled. "Making a human invention." He tied the wire to the metal door, set the battery close, carefully poured part of the liquid explosive over the frame. A pressure-triggered shock trap. Homemade. Mira stared, amazed. No one ever fought back like this. Because, Jack said, tightening the wire, no one taught them how to think dirty. The second hunter arrived minutes later. This one was heavier, stronger, 2 heads. One laughed, the other cried. As it stepped through the doorway, Jack triggered the trap. Z-A-A-A-P. Energy surged into the wet floor. The creature shrieked. Ow. Its heads exploded. The other screamed and fled, sparks bursting from its back. Mira gasped. "That worked," Jack exhaled. "That was the easy one." She looked terrified. "What do you mean?" He pointed at the black screen showing hallway cams. One by one, it went dark. Then a new figure appeared on the feet, the third hunter. It walked on 2 legs. Calm, tall, wearing. Whispered, "That's the worst one." Jack stared. "What is it?" "They made it from humans," she said softly. "It knows how to think like you, talk like you, lie like you." Jack's eyes narrowed. A hunter that wasn't just strong, but smart. The last door in the chamber slammed. Open. They had no time to run. Jack opened his eyes. He was sitting at a dinner table. His boots were clean. His uniform was perfect. Across from him sat a smiling woman, his mother. "Eat, Jack, you've been working too hard." He looked around. It was his old home. The kitchen smelled like roasted chicken. A picture of his childhood dog sat on the shelf, but Jack hadn't seen this place in over 10 years, and his mother. She died 7 years ago. He stood up slowly. This is fake. The wall beside him suddenly melted like paint washing off glass. The kitchen vanished. In its place, a giant circular room stretched into blackness, with doors floating in the air, upside down, sideways, in glowing red. A soft voice echoed, "Welcome to the final trial, the mind maze." Mira was gone. The hunter. Gone too. Jack stood alone now. But this time, it wasn't his body being tested. It was his mind. He took a step forward. One of the floating doors opened. Inside, he saw himself younger, afraid, holding a gun, surrounded by burning buildings. His own voice screamed from inside, "I didn't mean to do it." Another step, another door. This time he saw Mira, crying, reaching for him as guards dragged her into the mirrors. "Don't leave me." Jack clenched his fists. "This isn't real," he growled. "You're trying to break me?" The voice returned to calm, patient. "We are trying to understand you." Somewhere far above, in a control room of quiet humming lights, the watchers watched. Subject 117H has entered the final mind phase. Cognitive patterns remain stable for now. Emotional stress rising. He resists reflection stimuli. Fourth, deeper voice whispered. He has to break. That's the point. Inside the mind maze, Jack reached a mirror. This one was tall, smooth. Nothing behind it. Just his reflection. He stared at himself. But something was wrong. His reflection didn't copy him. It just watched. Then it smiled. "Do you really think you're human?" Jack stepped back. "What?" The reflection raised its hand. It turned transparent. Inside it, wires, tubes, liquid. Memory storage? Cybernetic bones. "You've been rebooted 117 times, it said. "This is the first version that didn't go insane." Jack's heart pounded. "You're lying, am I?" The reflection said. "You're not a man. You're a test grown in a lab, stuffed with memories. Not all yours." Jack screamed and punched the mirror. It didn't break. Instead, it absorbed his hand, pulled him inside. Suddenly dashed darkness. Jack opened his eyes again. It was tied to a chair, a spotlight above. Across from him, Mira. Only she wasn't herself. Her eyes glowed red. Her hair floated unnaturally. She wore a lab coat now. "Hello, Subject 117. Jack's voice trembled. "Mira." She tilted her head. "No, Mira. There is only what you needed to believe in to reach this point. You're part of the maze?" "I'm the final key," she said. "If you destroy me, you break the cycle. You exit." Jack blinked. "You mean kill you?" She nodded. "And you will be free." He stood up as the ropes fell away like dust. Mira held out a sharp metal blade. "Do it." Jack reached for it but stopped halfway. He looked her in the eyes. Real fear? Real sadness? Something was off. "Wait. I saw you bleed," he whispered. "You were scared. You smiled. You remembered things." He stepped back. "You're not part of the test. You're a prisoner like me." Her voice broke. "Jack, please. You have to leave." "If they know I failed the script," he reached out and grabbed her hand. The maze trembled. Above in the watcher chamber, alarms blared. Unstable event. He rejected the false exit. Emotional override. Detected. The watchers stared. One said, "He's breaking the structure." The deepest voice growled. "Then we break him." Back in the mind maze, the mirrors cracked. Dozens of figures rose from the floor-twisted versions of Jack. Some crying, some laughing, one holding a lifeless Myra in his arms. They all spoke at once. "You failed. You were never real. She is just code. Kill her or die again." Jack shouted, "Shut up!" He turned to Mira. "Real or not, I'm not leaving you." He slammed the ground with his fist. The mirrors shattered. The world around them cracked like glass, and then silence. Jack opened his eyes. He was on the floor of the real maze against wetting, gasping, alive. Mira lay beside him, his eyes closed. Then she opened them. "You brought us back," she whispered. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, but now they'll come harder than ever." Oh. And from far above, the final doors began to open. Jack didn't stand up right away. He lay on the cold floor, blinking up at the ceiling, watching the dust fall in slow motion like snowfall in a silent winter. Beside him, Myra slowly reached for his hand. She was real. She was breathing. That alone felt like victory. But above them, deep in the arena's heart, countdown had started. System breach detected. A robotic voice echoed through the walls. "Mind maze protocol has failed. Initiating final elimination." The hunters were coming back, but this time, so was something bigger. Myra sat up, trembling. "They're sending the Titan." Jack turned to her. "What's the Titan?" Her voice cracked. The maze itself, in a body. He stood slowly and tightened his jacket. "Then it's time to break it." They ran. The walls pulsed red. Lights flickered as the labyrinth began collapsing into itself. Doors that once led to dead ends were now open. Jack wasn't trying to escape anymore. He was following the one route no one had ever tried. Upward. Toward the control tower as they climbed rusted ladders and past shattered cameras. Myra spoke softly. "You said you had a trick. Something Earth-made." Jack nodded and pulled something from inside his boot. A simple object, a USB stick. Mira stared. "That's it?" "Shh, Jack smiled. This isn't just any stick. It's filled with old Earth's military malware. We used it to crash pirate warships during the Mars Rebellion. Doesn't break systems. He looked up. It teaches them fear. Back in the Watcher chamber, alarm screamed. Subject 117 is moving vertically. He's bypassing the kill zone. Destroy the tower. No, the deep voice growled. Let him come. Let him see what rules we write. Jack and Mira reached the top platforma. Steel disc with a massive control console and glowing cables stretching into the sky. From the darkness above, something enormous began to lower the Titan. It looked like a humanoid giant made of mirrors. Wires and flesh stitched together. Step it took cracked the ground. Its face was a mask of all the contestants who had died. Jack whispered, "You built a god out of corpses." The AI voice echoed, "You were meant to fail, human. You were a test. A number." Jack held up the USB stick. "Then consider this. My final grade." He slammed it into the main console. At first, nothing happened. Then the lights turned blue, then white, then everything went black. The Titan stopped moving. Its glowing eyes flickered. The mirrors across its chest began showing strange images Earth rain. Fireworks, human children, laughing. Wolves, storms, war, love. The AI voice changed. It stuttered. What is joy? What is guilt? What is failure? Jack stepped forward. We live with it every day. That's why we survive. Not because we're perfect, but because we're messy. The Titan began to scream. Its body twisted, crashed into walls. The entire arena shook. Alien watchers ran in fear. Mira shielded her face. Jack, it's working. The Titan exploded into light. Glass, bone, sparks. Silence followed. Jack stood still. Surrounded by ash and broken tech, the maze was gone. Mira walked up beside him. Her skin glowed softly under the new blue lights. She looked around. No more doors, no more walls. He turned to her. You're free now. She looked at him. What about you? He smiled weakly. I don't know if I was ever real, but I chose to be. Suddenly a hatch opened behind them, an old human rescue. Shuttle rising from below. A voice came through the speaker. Jack Granger. This is Earth Command. We received your signal. You're not alone up there, are you? He looked at Myra. No, I'm not. As they boarded the shuttle, Myra stared down at the ruins of the Death Labyrinth. For a moment, she stayed quiet. Then she asked softly, "What will happen now?" Jack looked out the window. They made a place to study fear, he said. But in the end, all it took was one human trick. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the empty USB. Then he laughed. Not bad for a piece of scrap.